conspiracy to commit murder.
All right, y'all, you're locked in here to the Midwest Mayhem.
I still always want to show up, and that's just, I have not lost any passion for the job.
Welcome to the Midwest Mayhem Podcast with your host Tyler and Lockie. This is where small town stories, wild headlines, and real conversations come together. We also shine a light on first responders, veterans, and on mental health. Because every voice deserves to be heard. This is the Midwest Mayhem Podcast.
I've been an open book about mental health.
From a federal prison.
Your fake leader hiding behind the title. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Midwest Mayhem Podcast. I am your host Tyler, and if you notice, Lockie is not here with me today. She is actually out. She's been working some pretty massive overtime over there at Washington County Units District, and we cannot thank her enough for her service. She will be live with us at the First Responder Mental Health Seminar we got coming up here on March 28th, just a couple of weeks away, and she'll be live with me there, and she'll be back here shortly for some more episodes. However, today I'm here by myself. I am on the phone with Anthony Dyer. Is it Dyer, Anthony?
Yeah, that's correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, Anthony Dyer. So he wrote the book MoonChild, and we're going to learn all kinds of things about Anthony today. He was nice enough to mail me 2 copies of his book and sign them for us. I cannot thank you enough for that. But a little bit about Anthony. He's a retired United States Air Force Combat Special Missions aviator and an author of the powerful memoir MoonChild, The Roots and Wings of the USAF Combat Special Missions Aviator. During his time in the Air Force, Anthony flew combat missions supporting special operation forces, if I can talk today, in some of the most dangerous environments in the world. But like many veterans, his story didn't end when the uniform came off. He is continuing with it today. He wrote the book MoonChild. And in MoonChild, he shares an honest and powerful story about resilience, healing, and finding your way again after the mission ends. I read the book, and my wife wanted me to tell you, Anthony, that she started reading it one morning, and she read it in about 2 hours, and she loved it. So she wanted me to make sure I told you that.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate it. It's a short read, as some people tell me, but I hope you enjoyed it.
It was a great book. The couple parts were very tear-jerking for sure. But I kind of want to leave that as a little bit of a surprise because I'm going to encourage my listeners to go and buy it. I know one of my listeners did. Shout out to Jamie in St. Clair. I know she bought it, and I think she read it, and I think she liked it as well. So, Jamie, thank you for buying his book. We're just really glad to have you here, Anthony, and I appreciate all the work you've done and all the missions you've taken and accomplished in your lifetime, and it's an honor to have you here on Midwest Mayhem Voices of Valor with us.
And Tyler, it's a pleasure and honor to be here, man. I wouldn't miss this one for the world. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate it. So I do want to get into a little bit of your background today. Before we get into that, though, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors. If you guys notice, I am back here at Frontline Armory in Farmington. Cannot thank these guys enough. Nathan and Craig, these guys are fantastic over here. They let us come over here and record whenever we need. Last Sunday, we didn't record an episode, but we did come over here and stuff some bags with Taylor Miner from Leadwood Fire Protection District for the free mental health seminar we got coming up here in just a couple weeks. Cannot thank them enough for letting us use their space. And come over here, buy you a gun. All of our first responder friends, they are now selling turnout gear, medical supplies, you name it. They're selling it. Come over here and check them out. And Checkpoint Coffee and Canteen, they just bought a firearm for a raffle at the event coming up, and they're another sponsor here on Midwest Mayhem, and I cannot thank Adam and Christy enough as well to keep the mission on and to keep it going. So thank them again. But Anthony, I do want to learn a little bit more about you. So for our listeners who may be hearing your story for the first time, Anthony is in North Carolina, I do believe. Is that correct?
So I live in eastern New Mexico now, but before I joined the Air Force for 18 years, I grew up in a small town called Silva, North Carolina, there in rugged Appalachia, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your hometown?
Yeah, no problem. So, I grew up in western North Carolina in the small town of Silva, and, you know, it's one of those places where the sense of community is very strong, you know. I used to joke around and tell people, you know, growing up, like, not really, but you probably throw a baseball across my whole town, is like I tell people. But with that, you know, everybody knows everybody's business, whether that's good or bad, depends on the business, I guess. But it was just that close-knit of a community, and a lot of outdoors type stuff. You know, I tell people if I wanted to go fishing, like I'd walk a half a mile down the road to the Tuckasegee River, you know, and I always tell people that it's one of the few places left, I believe. It's probably a lot like Missouri in that aspect, but, you know, a handshake's as good as a contract there, and someone's word's their bond. And so that's the roots part of my story, and I had an awesome family growing up there, and you know, parents gave me the best gift they could give a child is they believed in me and they wanted better for me. So July 18th of 2000, after a long conversation with my dad, the man-to-man talk, decided to join the Air Force, and here I am.
Well, that's good to know. That actually leads me into my next question. What first led you down the path to joining the United States Air Force? And to refer on your Missouri comment, Missouri's a lot like that. A lot of rugged terrain, a lot of mountains, especially in the southeast area where we live. And a lot of, I'm sure North Carolina is a lot like that. I actually have a friend that lives in North Carolina. I just mailed him some stickers, and after this episode, let me know your address, and I will be sure to email or mail you some stickers and some goodies. So, but yeah, that leads me into my first question. What first led you down the path of joining the United States Air Force?
Yeah, so my senior year in high school, I was still 17 at that point. My dad gives me the cliche dad talk of like, son, you're about to be a grown man. It's, time to get a job, go to college, you get out. And at first I talked to a Navy recruiter and he was talking about being on a boat for 6 months. I was like, that's not for me. I talked to an Army recruiter and I was like, that's not for me. Then I talked to my dad sort of about the quality of life. He was in the Air Force for 4 years down in MacDill at Tampa, Florida. And, it's good chow halls, TDYs, golf clubs, all the Army guys joke with us about. But yeah, it was a best decision I ever made, man. And at this point in my career, it was all, to be honest with you, for a paycheck or like, maybe money for college. There was really no, words like duty, honor, and service before self, right? Like they were just words to me at that point. I didn't really understand what those words meant till later in my career. But yeah, that's how it ended up. And there I was, July 18th of 2000, my first fixed wing flight from Charlotte, North Carolina to basic training in San Antonio, Texas.
Wow. Well, thank you again for your service. I cannot thank you enough for that. If it makes you feel any better, July of 2000, I was 6 months old. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, 2000, what a good year. That was my birth year, so I can never forget my age.
Awesome,
So,
man.
how did you eventually become a combat special missions aviator? Because reading your book, man, you've seen and been through some stuff, and we're going to get into that. But how did you get into that part of it?
Yeah, so my first 10 years in the Air Force, I wasn't a combat special missions aviator. Yeah, I wasn't flying. So, long story short, the first 5 years I did as a weapons loader, the guy that loads the bombs and missiles on the F-15, like the Strike Eagles, for example. Then I did the Air Force firefighter. I went to the Lewis F. Garland DoD Fire Academy there in San Angelo, Texas. Did that for 5 years at Charleston Air Force Base, South Carolina. And I'm at home on leave, and actually at a pizza parlor with some friends, and I tell people I look out and I see the same cracks in the road, man. And, I just realized those cracks had been there on that same main street that, separates the two sides of the town there in Silva. And, my whole life, those same cracks had been there. And I was like, what, like, I don't want to leave cracks, I want to leave craters. And, I had this thought in my mind, like the moment we were born, we start dying, right? So there was this idea of like wanting to serve in the highest capacity of this country that I could. And that was when I decided to join the mighty 16th Special Operations Squadron, fly on the AC-130 Spectre gunship. And it took about a year, total to get through the training until I finally got in the air for that.
Wow, that cracks in the road. That's very deep. And around here, we have a lot of small towns with a lot of cracks in the road. So that hopefully gives our listeners somewhat of an aspect to look forward in life to, and to hopefully find a mission like you did. So for listeners who may not know, what exactly does a special missions aviator do? Because I read your book, and I kind of have an idea of what it is. But for the people who haven't read it yet and kind of want to learn as they listen to this episode here, what exactly is a special missions aviator?
Yeah, that's a great question, Tyler. So it used to be called an aerial gunner, the 1 Alpha 7 AFSC career field. And what the Air Force did, I think it was roughly around 2012 or 13, they combined the aerial gunner career field and that with the loadmaster and the flight engineer career fields on the, for example, the AC-130 gunship. And so you have one person basically like the Swiss Army knife in the sky performing all three of those tasks. And you were sort of doing more with less, but at the same time, like you're a jack of all trades, but you have to really know those systems inside and out for each, specific one of those jobs. So yeah, it was an awesome experience, man. And the whole role of the gunship is to provide that close air support and timely, precise manner for those unconventional forces, your Green Berets, your SEALs, your Rangers, etc.
Wow, that's very deep and a very respectful job. I'm sure not many people in the military get to go that far. Am I right?
Yeah, that's a good point. So you go through aircrew fundamentals. One of the things they teach you there is like like 2% of the enlisted force in the Air Force fly. A lot of people think that, everybody in the Air Force is a pilot, right, and all that, but it's not the case. Enlisted guys, like 2% get to fly, and then even a smaller percentage get to do the special missions aviator, which is your AC-130 gunships, your helicopter rescue helicopters, like I flew on, as well as the Huey's helicopters and the CV-22s.
Wow. So it's got to feel like a real honor to be a part of that 1.5% to 2%, and to get to do some of the things that you've done. And we'll get into that as we keep going here. But what's that movie with Tom Cruise where he's in the Air Force? I'm blanking. I can't think of the movie. My wife absolutely loves it.
You're talking about Top Gun, where
Top
he's
Gun,
the
yes.
Navy, the weapons school guy? Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of that movie? Because I want my wife just absolutely loves that movie, and I want to hear your opinion from a guy who actually does it in real life.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I love both movies. I know he had in the not so distant past, right? He had his sequel come out to Top Gun 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I think he mentioned even it was a love letter to aviation, and I got to thinking about it sort of when I was writing. Man, maybe that's why I'm doing this. Maybe it is somewhat of a love letter to aviation, and just there's that quote by John Secondary. It's like, once a man's tasted flight, if we ever walk the earth with his eyes, face towards the sky, because there he's always longing to return, right? So it's a awesome quote, and that's sort of live my life by that in the skies,
Yeah, I can only imagine. I can't imagine being up in the air and seeing all the things you get to see. And I could imagine being those guys flying the stealth bombers, which actually are stationed right here in Missouri. Yeah, I can't imagine flying one of those all the way over to Iraq or Iran, wherever they went, and doing one of those missions. I'm sure that's got to be tough and a lot of training. But what was it like flying combat missions, supporting special operations forces?
It was one of those jobs where, like, it's definitely your brother's keeper type of mindset to it. The 16th Special Operations Squadron, like, if you walk in that building now at Cannon Air Force Base, right, there's letters all around that squadron from, SEALs, Green Berets, and there's one I always called it sort of my cornerstone of my why, man. There's this Ranger holding his baby girl, right, and he thanks the squadron for the close air support and the rounds, and he got to go home and see his baby girl. And it's one of those things when you're young and you're full of adrenaline and action and stuff like that, you don't think about it, right? But when you get older and have a family, you look at those letters at a different perspective, and you realize, like, to support those guys, that is our nation's very best. Those are the with my shoulder on it type of warriors, and to have that responsibility of giving them close air support to make sure they get home, like, to me, that was the highlight of my career, man. It was an awesome responsibility, and I loved it.
I can't imagine. Now, are you married with children?
I am. I have a wife, and then I have a 9-year-old daughter.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, congratulations. That's awesome. So, well, when you were active in the military, you didn't have any children, correct?
So for my last, call it approximately 4 years, I had my baby girl,
Okay.
Sullivan. Yeah, so I think I put her through 4, deployments there at the end. So it's one of those things too with that. Like, I always had this fear. Like, a lot of guys have this fear of, like, when you get home, your kids wouldn't recognize you from a longer deployment, right? And so that was always in the back of my mind. But luckily when I got back, she always ran to me with open arms, man. So it's definitely the light in my life,
Oh, that's fantastic. So when you're operating in those high risk environments, what kind of mindset does it take to do that job? And as I said a while ago, I couldn't imagine being up in the air for hours on end or however long you're up there. What kind of mindset do you have to have for that?
You have to realize that you're never out of the fight. You always have to think outside the box and never call a gun down, right, and get back in the fight. And there was this. I'll go over my first flight on AC-130. It went so bad, man, to where I think I put in a book there where the instructor said something to the effect of, like, "You're the reason you have to brief seatbelts on airliners, right?" And and at the end of that fight, he saw me licking my wounds, man. And he's like, "Hey, what's the most important word in the dictionary?" I was like, "Man, I don't even know where I'm at right now, bro." Right? And
Yeah.
he's like, "Perseverance." He's like, "I want you to think about what that word means to you, and come back next flight ready to fight." And I remember the next flight we got to go to the range, and the first time that 105 millimeter went off, like, man, I was like, I want to do this for the rest of my life. Like, this is awesome,
Oh yeah, I can only imagine. And I was a fireman for 10 years, so kind of staying sharp and staying ahead of the game, trying to know your next move before you even have a clue what that might be. It takes a mindset for whether you're a first responder in the military. And now in the military, I'll give you guys a lot more credit. I mean, I could imagine having gunshots going off at me or flying in the sky, trying to avoid whatever it is you might be trying to avoid. But this kind of field, whether you're military or first responder, is just not for the weak.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, man, where like I tell people we're very normal, like men and women, right? Doing very uncommon, unnatural things, whether it's the military, especially firefighter, right? Like a fire ground is in its own way organized chaos, from the little ones that I had, but yeah, man, it's there's definitely a parallel there with these type of uncommon jobs,
Absolutely. What are some things civilians may not realize about those missions and what they're really like? And this is more for our listeners. Again, for those of you who are listening right now, please go check out the book MoonChild up. If you're watching our YouTube video, the cover's up here in the corner. Anthony's book is absolutely fantastic. I cannot recommend it enough. I will be posting the link for it up on our Amazon and all of our socials, or for Amazon up on all of our socials if I can talk today. And we'll post it on our Facebook page, TikTok, all that good stuff for you guys to be able to go purchase it. But what are some things that civilians may not understand, and for our listeners to get a better grasp on what those missions are really like?
I would say the biggest thing is just that seconds is someone's life, and to make those decisions, right? Like on an AC-130, like, but back then we flew with like 13 crew members. So from the pilots all the way back to the gun deck, you have these decisions that get made within seconds, because the guys on the ground may call in like what we call a danger close shoot, for example, right? Where they're buying that risk, like we're going to shoot so close to them, we're God forbid, like they take some frag from or something like that,
Yeah.
That's what we don't want to happen. So there's a trust there, right? And it's definitely almost like this sacred promise, like between the gunship specifically and then the operators on the ground, is like we're going to do everything in our power to get those guys home, so it's just that level of responsibility and how fast you have to make those decisions collectively together,
And that's really when it requires you to trust the guy standing next to you, and trust that you both know your training and you train hard, and knowing that you guys know exactly what each other's going to do, like a well-oiled machine.
Oh yeah, and I would say like one of the things that was sort of explained to me is when I got that Spectre patch, like one of the evaluators would often say we have to be able to trust you with our best friend's life, and I'm sure a fire ground is that way, really that way a lot,
Oh,
But
absolutely.
it's an awesome responsibility, man.
It's definitely a different level of brotherhood when it gets down to the nitty gritty, for sure.
Oh yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about the missions that stay with you. And again, we read in your book some of the things that you've been through and some of the missions that you've done. Every service member has experiences that stay with them long after the mission ends. Without getting into anything sensitive, can you share a mission or a moment that really stuck with you that you just can't kick to this day?
Yeah, 100%. So there was about a 4 or 5 year part of my career where I went to the rescue helicopters, the Mighty Jolly Greens and the 41st Rescue Squadron. And the whole motto in that community is like, these things we do that others may live, And so basically I was on the rescue helicopter in June of 18 in East Africa. And we'd been like 7 days there. And this operation is one of those things you eat when you can eat, sleep when you can sleep. And, you had 4 air crew members and we had 3 pararescue men on each aircraft,
Yeah.
And so I remember like, we took off, man, and there was immediately a runaway gun on the left, like basically, which means the 50 cal just had a failure to where when it was armed, it just continued to fire. And then I pulled the flare pins and it jettisoned every flare we had because water had short circuited that panel, and flares protect you against surface to air missiles. And then the communications with the ground force commander were intermittent at best, And so we get there, multiple gun runs, and we picked up 3 cat alphas on our bird, and I think the other bird got 2. Then we had to go back and get 1 more. But I tell people we saw the best side of combat search and rescue that day, meaning saving 5 guys, and then we saw the worst side where one Eagle, one American, when he got back on the operating table, unfortunately passed away. And like I said, like I didn't know what sacrifice was to that day, and that is our nation's very best, And the fact that that's someone's brother, someone's son, someone's friend, like that's going to stay with me forever,
Oh, absolutely. Losing a brother, whether you're in the military or the first responder service, it's always hard. And I'm sure for those of you listening, if you've never attended a military funeral or any type of first responder service, for first responders, and I can vouch for this one because I've attended several of them, unfortunately. It doesn't necessarily get to you right away. For me, it's always when they do the final call over the radio and you hear the tones drop and you hear their DSN, which is Department Service Number, drop and be called over the radio 3 times, and there's no response to it, and they do a memoir for them, and that's when the tears start to roll for me. But losing a friend, a loved one, son, father, a friend, anything, it's just really hard, especially in the service, because so many people are so close, and you've worked with these people for so long that it's just really hard. And I can't imagine being on a mission and losing somebody and how that would make you feel.
Yeah, and that's definitely a good point. I like to tell people in these type of jobs and aviation and stuff like that, it's not what you do in that life that haunts you. It's what you don't do, and the whole motto of being your brother's keeper, like when someone doesn't make it bad, that one, I'll take that with me till the day I die, and but I would like to say that it's important that I appreciate your platform, and you do a really good job of sharing these stories, and that's the reason I think God lets collaboration happen like a collision for a reason, right? Is to make sure these guys' stories don't die in the sand over there,
Absolutely, man. I cannot thank you enough for your support of Midwest Mayhem and Voices of Valor. Unfortunately, our suicide rate is not the greatest in the military or the first responder world, which is actually why I created Voices of Valor to give people a platform to come and talk on. We're not extremely huge just yet. I'm hoping to get there one day. But that's why I created this platform, so people can tell their story, the things they've seen, the things they've done, without breaking any kind of legality clauses at that. But it's just to give them a place to speak and a place to clear their mind and know that they always have a friend, whether it's myself, whether it's my co-host Lockie when she's here with me, anybody in the first responder service. We're, like I said earlier, we actually have a mental health seminar coming up here, hosted by one of our local fire departments. We'll actually be live if you decide you'd like to watch it there, Anthony, and it'll be live on Facebook. And but I feel that we're a very close knit group here in the southeast part of Missouri, and that we really try to bond and stick together and work as a team, no matter what county we're in here in the bottom right corner. But I truly appreciate you supporting my platform. It means a lot to know that somebody heard it, because you're not even in the same state as us. That somebody heard it and decided your story would fit good here on Voices of Valor. So again, man, I cannot thank you enough for your support.
Yeah, thank you, Tyler. Like I said, I wouldn't miss it for the world, man. And I'd love to get more information on that date and time for that, and I'll definitely watch it.
Absolutely, I will be. I'll definitely email that over to you, and we'll make sure you can be able to watch it. But so on the flip side of things, to kind of get a little bit more positivity going here. On the side of that, what was a moment that made you especially proud to serve?
I would say definitely my first shoot on the gunship. There was a realization after the dust settled. Basically we were in Bagram, and we get emergency launch to another location, and I remember we're flying over this op, and like what it was there was 3 Taliban guys that had explosive packs on shooting our Green Berets with RPGs and stuff, and I remember like 64 rounds later, after we took care of the threat, and stuff like that, I got to think like, man, I got to do more for my country in an hour and a half and 2 hours than I'd done my whole life, and I realized truly at that moment, like this is what it's about, this is to make sure those guys get home. And when that happens, man, it's a sense of relevance that I always chased, that I always wanted to be a part of.
Yeah, I can only imagine the level of dopamine that was going through your brain at that time, knowing that you're serving your country in just such a small amount of time, but you're doing something so big. And I can't imagine just having that, because I know what kind of dopamine I got in the adrenaline in the fire service, knowing we could go out and help somebody, and that's just here in small rural America. I can't imagine being overseas and taking out our nation's enemies and being honestly. And I know a lot of people don't like to be accredited to this, but to me, to you, and to me, in my eyes, you are a true hero for some of the things you've done. And for those of you that go and read MoonChild, you'll understand why I say that. It's a very good book, and this guy has done some amazing things. So to me, Anthony, you truly are a hero for the the service and sacrifice you've put in our country, and I'm really glad you were able to make it home. Now, after an intense mission, after losing a fallen brother, how did you decompress or process everything you experienced? I know that had to be tough losing somebody during a mission.
Oh yeah, and when I got back, and I was getting this is my last year in the Air Force, but I was getting helped, and I developed what was a pint a weekend turned into a pint a night with some sleeping pills type habit, right?
Yeah.
So I finally got help, and then I went to one of these SOCOM, the Preservation of the Force and Family, that they basically give you a psychologist, and I did the prolonged exposure therapy, and but part of that process is you start out writing out your story. What they get to the root cause of the trauma and what's causing all this, right? And you write it and write it and write it. Then you start telling the story over and over and over, and, to the point where you get comfortable. Sort of like we're doing right now, and we're just conversing, right?
Yeah.
And, back then I couldn't do this, man. Like I'd tear up, you name it, man. And I remember the first time I told this story to the psychiatrist, I cried, she cried, and but she was always like, you should tell your story over and over, And then it took me a while after I got out, and you realize, like, when you leave these out processing type appointments, right, in the military, get your infamous DD-214, you walk out that door. Often there's not a door handle on the other side, so you can walk out, but you can never really get back in, And so when that dust settled, that loss of identity, that sense of relevance was gone, and that was a lot of the problem, And I was like, you know what, maybe she was right when I got out. Like, maybe I can start writing this stuff down and pay it forward or pay it backwards, I guess, in my case. And if one person decides to go seek help and realizes it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to get help, then that's a victory. That's a blessing. You referenced earlier the 22 a day, right? Like, I just want to do what I can to make that 0 a day,
Absolutely. And if you listen to our other episodes, which you and I spoke before we started recording, you said you would listen to a few of them. That's a big goal for Lockie and I here on Midwest Mayhem and Voices of Valor. If we can just save one life to keep from committing suicide or even thinking about it, we've done something right. Just one life. If we can save 100, that's even better. And I'm really glad that came from you on your end, because that means our mission is worldwide and not just here in Missouri. So I'm so glad that you were able to seek help and to be able to basically put your story into a book. And I'm sure that that had to help in some capacity, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I would tell people that helping is healing in a way, and writing I found to be very, very therapeutic in some odd, weird way for me,
Absolutely. Did you ever think you would actually write a book?
No, man, I never thought I had the stones to do it, to be honest with you. But like, it gets to a point where you just have to take off the veil, man, and you have to bleed it on the page. And I always tell people with writing, what I found out, the biggest lesson I've learned in all this: say the words you're most terrified to say, throw them on paper, and you'll be amazed to see what happens.
I can only imagine that you, like you said, it definitely takes some stones to write the story and then share what you share in MoonChild, because some of the stuff you do share is rather deep. Again, I'm trying to save some of it for our listeners here, so I can encourage them to go out and support you and buy your book and get a good read and learn more about you and your detailed story. So let's talk a little bit about life after the uniform, because a lot of first responders and a lot of military struggle with this. And I'm actually sitting here in a firearms store that is owned by two former veterans, Nathan and Craig. Nathan's episode will come up next after yours, actually. He was in the Navy, but I know I've talked to Nathan. I've talked to several other service members, and life after the uniform is a really big change. So leaving the military can be one of the hardest transitions people face. What was that transition like for you?
It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, leaving this, this, my identity, my why, my sense of relevance. And then it was a hard thing to realize that, when you get out, everybody else struggles with this too. It's almost overwhelming with the texts and emails I get from men and women I used to fly with. Like, hey, like, we're glad you did this, because I'm struggling with the same thing during the latter part of my career, knowing that it's going to end, right? And the way you get to like reach out, and I tell people, the military provided me surrounded by four quarters with friends, not 100 pennies. There's those four quarters you can always count on, and trust me, they'll always pick up the phone when you need them.
Well, that's fantastic, man. It's good to know that you always have resources, whether it's your brotherhood from your military experience. I'm sure your family, And I just know a lot of people struggle not only with PTSD after the military and being a first responder. Even when I took a step back from the fire service back in 2024, I had done it for 10 years. So from my high school life all the way up to 2024, that was my whole life. That's all I knew. That's all I done. And I can't, when I stepped away from it, stepping into just being a normal civilian and not having the connections or feeling like you're not worthy of what you were when you were in the service, it's really hard. It's almost like you lose your identity.
100%. Yeah, and that's a hard thing to face in the mirror, you know. And I think you have to realize, like, you have to find those exciting moments in the calm, you know. And now that you're out, right, like being the best friend could be to someone, being the best wingman, as cliche as that sounds, or best father, best husband, like that. That's my mission now, you know. And it is those exciting moments in the calm that keep you vertical each day, you know.
Absolutely, man. I couldn't have said that any better myself. And that's another reason why I started this podcast. It kind of filled that void a little bit of missing the fire service and doing what I loved. And I'm still helping people, just in a different way now. And I get to talk to incredible people like yourself. And the last 13 guests I've had here, you're guest number 14. So what were some changes you didn't expect when stepping back into civilian life from the military?
There was a lot to learn really fast. Like, I'd had the same uniform for 21.4 years, and just like finding out what business casual is, for example, right? And my new job, and learning how to write a resume, and just reaching for my hat every time I left the building. You know, it's just those little things that are just you're not really getting while you're in, because it's so like specific to your job. You know, performance reports and all that, and getting out and just learning just how to be a civilian again, and you know, in a way, just sort of trying to how to, you know, even something as simple as a joke, right? You know, there is a level of humor in that world, and pranks and so, you know how it is in the fire department too, that I won't take with me to, like, you know, civilian casual, right? You know.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I completely understand that one. It was hard to not throw on a fire department T-shirt when I walked out of the house, for sure. I had to completely change my wardrobe because I'm pretty sure that's all I owned at the time. But a lot of veterans talk about losing their sense of mission or identity after service. Did you struggle with that as well?
Every day, you know, and I'd be lying if I still don't. Like, I missed somebody asked me the other day, like, you know, with all the other stuff going on, like, if I miss something, like, yeah, every day, man. Like, you know, like, I miss flying with my best friend every day, you know, and to just sort of, you know, not do that anymore it's like, it is a huge, you know, leap of faith to jump off of, you know.
Absolutely, man. I can only imagine. I do want to sound a little cliche for a moment, and I'm sure my wife will love this. Did you have somebody that was your goose during your time in the Air Force?
You mean like a mentor?
A mentor or just a sidekick, kind of like Goose was in that movie Top Gun?
Oh yeah. A wingman.
Yeah.
I definitely, you know, especially like when you deploy, you had usually hard crews, so you would basically spin up together, train together, then you deploy for every flight downrange together. So it was, you had, like, I tell people in the gunship, you had 13 of them, man. So, you know, you could imagine, like, knowing each other that well and living in these, in our cases, like the B huts, the plywood huts, you know, with 6 people in them. So you know each other almost too well, you know.
Yeah, I can only imagine, man. So I want to kind of get into a little bit of some of the things you kind of talked about in MoonChild. And again, I'm trying to save some of this for some of our listeners, so they'll be encouraged to go read this amazing book. So some trauma and addiction and recovery. In your book, MoonChild, you talk openly about struggles with trauma and addiction after leaving the military. What made you decide to share that part of your story?
I would say it was the fact that in my mind, I still believe someone could get help from this book, you know. And to be honest with you, I have had those 3 a.m. phone calls, at least one, you know, or, you know, unfortunately, I did have to talk someone off a ledge and was able to get him to the VA hospital and everything like that. But you see that part of it. You see that you see how powerful your words can be, right? And that may be the only person that reads that thing that the person reads that night that could save them their life, you know. So it is in a way, it's a responsibility that I want to take this on now, and it's a lot, man. I'll be honest with you, it's heavy.
I absolutely. And fortunately enough, Lockie and I have not yet been put in that situation through our Voices of Valor and Midwest Mayhem series, which is a good thing. Which means nobody has considered it yet. But again, and with Lockie not being here, I will say this: if any of you ever need any kind of assistance or help, you're welcome to visit our website and get any kind of hotline resource that you need. Go under resources and check it out. There's plenty of them on there. Veteran or military or first responder is what I meant to say. So go on there and check it out. You're welcome to contact us via Facebook. If you can find my phone number on our Facebook page, you're welcome to call me no matter the time of day. I've got plenty of resources I can reach out to. I know Lockie does. And Anthony, if you listen to our other episodes, as Lockie would say, you are our 14th resource here on Voices of Valor. I'm sure if one of us ever needed something and had a question when it comes to special operations and the military, I'm sure you'd be willing to answer an email and help us out with that. But when
100%, you guys can email me, call me anytime, man. Text me, I'll always answer.
well, I appreciate that, man, and I'm so glad to have you here. When did you realize something needed to change with your addiction?
I would definitely say like when I got the ultimatum from the family, and I was in this vicious cycle of getting home at 4:30, shotgunning a pint of Smirnoff before I go to the door, then sleeping and waking up hungover and doing it all over again, and then my wife realized, and she's like, it's either me or your daughter or the bottle, and by the grace of God, I chose them, and I will say that I'd be lying if there wasn't a spiritual side to my healing, man, and I love telling this part of it is, I realized, the psychiatrist was great, friends are great, all that's great, but I think God will put you in isolation before elevation sometimes. And what I mean by that is he, in his own way, let me know that I turned to everything but him,
Yeah.
and just to have that faith in him, and that's all I needed,
And a lot of people, we had a dispatcher here on one of our episodes not too long ago. Faith is what has led her through being a 911 dispatcher. She's heard some rather rough calls and dealt with some rather rough stuff. She's a very big person in her church, and she's just very spiritual. Shout out to Sarah Lauder if she listens to this episode. I've had a lot of compliments on that for your episode and a lot of spiritual guidance. Everybody looks at things a lot differently. A lot of people look at things differently in the spiritual world. But I'm really glad that you were able to find something to look forward to and help you cross that line that you needed to cross for your family and to keep on pushing on. What helped you start turning things around and moving towards recovery? Was it faith? Was it just your family, or was it a combination?
It was definitely a combination with faith being the cornerstone of my healing. I saw I heard a quote on TikTok the other day, and I hope I don't butcher this, but the guy says, God will put you back together in front of those who broke you. And I like to change that to God will put you back together in front of what broke you, what vice broke you, whatever you got, man, he's got it.
That's a good one. I might actually put that on our Facebook page and we might post that on our TikTok. But that's a good quote. I haven't heard that one before.
Awesome, brother.
I'd definitely say you've done a good job with it. Looking back now, what did that time in your life teach you?
I would say that the biggest thing is back to perseverance, and there's this thing with flying, like that day, for example, where it seems like it's always stacked against you, man. It's like in our situation, it was the weather in a way, right? The emergency procedures in a way, the runaway guns, you name it, everything was going wrong that can from the get-go. And realize in those moments, you find out a lot about yourself. And the whole title, MoonChild, like I tell people, the moon in a way was like a lighthouse for me many nights. And you don't get to fall in those darkest moments. You get to rise, and that's when that moon burns the brightest, is on those darkest nights, man. And as Henry Ford once said, an aircraft takes off against the wind, not with it. So whatever you're going through, just keep going.
And I definitely couldn't have said that any better myself. And I'm sure anybody else that's in the Air Force that listens to this series will definitely agree with you on that. I have a fear of heights, so the Air Force probably wouldn't have been a thing for me. Heights are just not my thing, so I can't imagine flying overnight into not only danger, but in an aircraft by itself that I'm piloting. I just can't imagine. But kudos to you, man. It takes a lot of courage, and I just can't imagine. So kudos to you on that. Now, I do want to get into a little bit of MoonChild now that you brought that up. What inspired you to write Moonchild, The Roots and Wings of USAF Combat Special Missions Aviator? We're talking, you sat down and you finally decided maybe I should write a book.
Yeah, and so like the lighthouse part of the moon, I sort of mentioned earlier, it was like a get well point to me. And in flying, we have these things where like for a gunship, for example, you're mostly flying at night, mostly, and you're in this left-hand orbit, right? And it's easy to sort of get sometimes like lost or disoriented, to find your place on the battlefield in the air, right? And the moon was always on one side of the orbit, so I've been intrigued by the moon. And one of my favorite quotes is by Rita Clinton. I'll read it for you if you got a second, man.
Yeah, go ahead.
It says, "Stay wild, Moonchild. I will shine my full silver light on your path, Moonchild. Trust in your intuition and follow your dreams. When I go dark, go within and tend to yourself. Set your goals and release what no longer serves. When I come out of the shadow, Moonchild, go. Be brave, and to yourself, stay wild and true." Rita Clinton. And that's just a powerful poem, and I love it, man.
That's that quote right there is very touching and very spiritual in itself, I would say. Thank you for reading that for us. I really hope that inspires one of our listeners here on Midwest Mayhem to move forward, and if they're struggling with something in life, to continue on and to push forward and to find their own way in life and their own moon, should I say?
Oh yeah, I think everybody's got that chance to rise, right? And if, like I said, man, a lot of times you'll be by yourself and you think you're in isolation, but God and your friends will pull you out of those ashes, man.
Absolutely. And I know you said earlier it was kind of difficult and a struggle to talk about some of the stuff when you first started talking about it. Was writing the book difficult emotionally, revisiting some of these moments, the struggle through addiction, some of the missions where you've lost friends and coworkers? Was that emotional during your writing process?
Oh yeah, I definitely when I get into the five senses, especially like that Cassavac, right? Like putting all that, the smells, everything that comes with that fog of war, right? And
Yeah.
that was definitely hard to go back in my mind and go through that Rolodex of memories that'll always be there, and to then throw that on paper and try to paint it in a way where people understand. It's probably the hardest thing I had to do in the whole book,
Yeah, absolutely. I will tell you, your sense of writing. I knew who I was going to be talking to before I actually heard your voice today. I truly enjoyed your book. It was fantastic. Like I said, it was very tear jerking. My wife loved it. She read it. She couldn't put it down. She read it in about 2 hours. But it's a very great book. I can only imagine writing one myself. I probably wouldn't be that good, and it probably wouldn't be that long either. But I just kudos to you because you put so many details and so much into it just in the first 2 chapters. And I think I emailed you this and told you this, but just in the first 2 chapters, I mean, you learned so much about you and who you truly are. Again, it gave me kind of a sense of who I was going to be talking to before I heard your voice today. So what message do you hope or did you hope during writing, especially for veterans, would you hope take away from this book?
And I would circle back to the beginning of our conversation to where, like, veterans, first responders, we're all very, very normal men and women doing these very uncommon, unnatural things. And it's okay not to be okay after 2 decades of war and all this stuff, but it's not okay to do nothing about it, right? And I always tell people too, like, if you're in a leadership spot, man, or something like that, and that help remove the stigma for seeking help. I tell people, like, a lot of times, like, you go and you see, like, your let's say, for example, your fire chief or somebody in that seat, right?
Mm-hmm.
That gets help. You realize, like, the stigma's gone at that point,
Absolutely. And I truly think, and I plan on hopefully doing a roundtable with some friends of mine here soon. We're going to kick off another series here on Midwest Mayhem, but that's another surprise for another time. We're going to kind of talk about the leadership in the fire service, especially for all of us because we were all firemen in very close vicinities. But kind of how the leadership affects the stigma of mental health and how some don't support it, some do support it, but a lot of times leadership does put a stigma on mental health, and so you have the old guys that are like, oh, you need to be tough, you need to just get over it, And it just puts a strain on you, especially working under somebody like that, because you're afraid to talk.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I think if you're in that spot, you have a chance to change that, right? Like you can tell people it's okay to get help. Something as simple as a conversation. Like to me, there's and like knowing your people, right? Like saying there's a difference saying, hey Anthony, how's it going, man? Or hey Anthony, how you doing, really, man? How you holding up after all that, right? And I'm sure a fire scene that you guys see on a daily basis, and especially the EMT side of things.
Oh yeah.
More than I ever saw, right? So like it's not if in my mind, it would be when like someone would have to take that step.
Absolutely, man. And Lockie is my co-host. Is actually an EMT with a county ambulance district not too far away from where I'm at today. And she's had to do some outreaching. Her ambulance district actually lost one of their coworkers to suicide. I talked about it in my last episode with the chief of the ambulance district, Justin Duncan. That's a very good episode if you haven't heard it. And he talked about the stigma it put on himself, not only as a person but as a leader, and how he was able to push through himself with his crew, how it almost broke him. Very touching episode. If you guys haven't went and listened to that one yet, please go do. Episode number 6, yes, 13, Justin Duncan. Go check him out. But we kind of talked about this earlier, but have you heard from readers who have connected with your story?
Oh yeah, I've had many people that some that I knew, some that I didn't, and a lot of people I used to fly with, email and text, and especially when the book first came out, and once they read it, like you realize the commonalities that we all have in that world.
Absolutely. I do want to ask you, what did it feel like the day your book released for on sale? How did you feel that day?
It was, I can't even put it in words, really. It was incredible feeling, man. Because my publisher, he was Robbie Grayson with Trademark Media. He basically, him and the editor was Holly McKay. Like we had all basically decided to release it on April 7th, my birthday.
Oh, okay.
And we're coming up on the annual year mark of it, and so it goes on pre-sale with like Amazon and stuff like 30 days before, and what's crazy is you're realizing that you have words in a book, right? And like that thousands of people will hopefully see one day, right? And it just the fact that it has that chance, and the fact that in your mind you think it could make a difference, right, in somebody's life, that's a huge responsibility in itself, And once you got words out there, they're out there, brother. They're not coming back. So
yeah, absolutely. So your thoughts are out there forever, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Is the book doing well?
Yeah, it's doing pretty good. It usually stays in the usually, knock on wood, the top 100 for aviation and nautical biographies on Amazon, and yeah, it ebbs and flows like anything.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure everybody that listens to this podcast orders your book, and I'll be sure to put the link and all that out there. Is it only available on Amazon, or are there other places they can buy it?
You can buy it pretty much wherever they sell books. Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, I think Target and Walmart. You can buy it there too. If you just even Google "MoonChild" by Anthony Dyer, like something will populate where you could buy it.
Perfect. I can't imagine walking through Walmart seeing a book that I wrote on the shelf. That'd be kind of neat. Have you experienced that?
No, and it's one of those things. I went to Barnes and Noble, I think the closest one to me, but I didn't see it in there. And it's one of those things where like there has to be a certain amount of demand for it. I think it's the only thing I can think of.
Well, hopefully.
But you can definitely go there and be like, hey, I want to order this book, and they'll order it for you.
Perfect. Well, hopefully, and I believe you also said it's available on Amazon Kindle, correct? A digital copy.
It is. Yeah, it's actually cheaper on Kindle. I think it's roughly $9.99 for Kindle.
Perfect. Well, I prefer the hardback copy, so I'm really glad you were able to send us that. And I appreciate your little note you left in there for us. That was really nice of you. But with that being said, folks, we are going to jump to a commercial break real quick. We're going to hear from our great friends here. Again, Frontline Armory cannot thank Nathan and Craig enough for letting us come over here, sitting here, record our episodes, and just use this amazing space. And it smells so great in here all the time. I got to give them compliments to Craig on that because he's always worried about it. But Frontline Armory, come over here, check them out. Order you a firearm. If you're looking for a new EMS supplier or fire gear or anything like that, come over here, check them out. They can get you all kinds of stuff set up with that. They're getting into that world as well. Again, Frontline Armory cannot thank them enough. Checkpoint Coffee and Canteen over in Potosi cannot thank Adam and Christy Wells enough. They do so many great things for the community. Again, they just donated a gun from Criminal Justice Services that they also own to the free mental health seminar we got coming up for a raffle item. Nathan was showing me it earlier, if I can talk. and it's a great firearm. Cannot thank them enough for their support. They're also setting up free coffee over there at the free mental health seminar, which you'll hear about here in just a minute. And they'll be handing that out for free over there for all the first responders. Come over, check it out. Visit with myself. Lockie and I will be live on location, and we're going to hear a word from our awesome sponsors. Cannot thank these guys enough, and we will be right back after these messages. Attention Potosi, there's a new mission in town. Checkpoint Coffee and Canteen. This veteran-owned coffee shop isn't just about caffeine, it's about community. From rich espressos to hearty meals, every order fuels a story. Yours, ours, and the heroes we honor every day. Step inside and you'll find more than just a cup of coffee. You'll find a place where veterans, first responders, and locals come together shoulder to shoulder. So whether you're starting your morning patrol, catching up with friends, or needing that midday refuel, Checkpoint Coffee and Canteen has you covered. Located at 205 East High Street in Potosi, Checkpoint Coffee and Canteen, where service never sleeps and every cup counts. Hey guys, Tyler here, Midwest Mayhem Podcast, and I want to take a second today and talk about how every call leaves a mark. Some we talk about, and some we carry quietly. Being a first responder isn't just a job, it's a calling. And for those of us who've served, we know the weight that comes with it. I've been in the first responder service myself. I've seen calls that stick with you, the moments you don't always talk about, and the toll that this job can take long after the sirens stop. That's why Leadwood Fire Protection District is proud to host a free first responder mental health seminar created for those who serve, police, fire, EMS, and dispatch. This seminar is about more than education. It's about reminding every responder that strength isn't silence and no one should carry the weight of this job alone. You should join us on March 28, 2026 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at West County Middle School in Leadwood. We'll hear from featured keynote speakers Valerie Beeson and Kevin Kapler, including a live Q&A panel after Kevin speaks, along with on-site resources, vendors, food trucks, and giveaways. This event is completely free and open to all first responders. Lockie and I from Midwest Mayhem will be live on location, and Midwest Mayhem will have a booth set up where you can sign up for Voices of Valor, connect with us, and grab plenty of trinkets and giveaways throughout the day. If you ever felt the pressure, the stress, or the unseen side of this work, this day is for you. For more information, you can visit our website, www.midwestmayhempodcast.com. You can email Leadwood Fire at leadwoodfireprotectiondistrict@gmail.com, or you can visit our Facebook page or Leadwood Fire Protection District's Facebook page for more information, because taking care of others starts with taking care of ourselves. Hey guys, Tyler here, Midwest Mayhem Podcast. If you're looking for a trusted local firearms dealer with real knowledge and real service, check out Frontline Armory, a veteran-owned and operated business located right here in Farmington, Missouri. Frontline Armory offers a wide selection of firearms, suppressors, ammunition, holsters, optics, tactical gear, and quality firearm accessories, all with a strong focus on education, safety, and responsible ownership. Whether you're a first-time buyer, an experienced owner, or someone interested in learning more about suppression and the process involved, their knowledgeable team takes the time to answer questions and walk you through your operation. No pressure, no gimmicks. You can find Frontline Armory at 201 West Karsh Boulevard, Unit B in Farmington, or give them a call at 573-463-6262. You can also learn more by visiting them at thefrontlinearmory.com, or follow Frontline Armory on Facebook to stay up to date on inventory and announcements. And when you stop in, go see my friends Nathan and Craig and tell them Midwest Mayhem sent you. The Frontline Armory, veteran-owned, community-focused, and proud to serve Southeast Missouri. And we are back from commercial break. I am on the phone with author of MoonChild, Anthony Dyer. He is live with us in New Mexico. Cannot thank him enough. I had a little bit of a time goof up this morning. Didn't realize he was an hour behind us. Scheduled it for 10 a.m. and I believe it was 9 a.m. where he was. So I appreciate him being able to adjust to our schedule here to be with us. Again, he is the author of MoonChild. If you're watching our YouTube video, his book is right down here in the corner, if I can figure out how to point down here at the screen. And great book. Go check it out. Go buy it on Amazon, Walmart, Target, Barnes & Noble. Go check it out. Cannot thank him enough for joining us here and sharing some of his story. Again, please go buy this book. It is fantastic, very, very emotional, very deep, and you'll learn a whole lot about who he is and some of the missions he's done. But Anthony, I want to talk a little bit about lessons from the journey. What do you think is one of the biggest challenges veterans face today when transitioning back into civilian life?
I would definitely say the biggest one would be like realizing this machine still goes on, and I know we briefly talked about how, like, when I walked out of that door, there's not a door handle on the other side. It was, to me, it was so abrupt, that feeling, right? But I would say, like, recognize that, when when you're about a year out that it's going to end, and just start pre-gaming what you're going to do on the outside. You know, what occupation is going to make you happy, and money's great and everything, but at the end of the day, man, you have to enjoy what you do. So when you get out, definitely pursue something that gives you maybe the same or even a new awesome mission as well. You know.
Absolutely. Cannot thank you enough for all your great answers and continuing to share what has inspired you to not only write your book, but just what you've endured in your time in the military. Looking back on your journey, though, from combat aviator to author, what moment are you most proud of between your 2-decade career to writing this amazing book?
I would definitely say when being trusted with someone's best friend's life, you know, and how the evaluators would sometimes put it, and it's just that relevance, and that was my identity, you know, and the whole brothers keeper sort of mission of the gunship, you know, is that was the very best of my life, man. And those men and women I got to fly with are incredible people, man, and I'll never forget any one of them, you know.
Are you still pretty good close friends with quite a few of them?
Oh yeah, I talk often to a lot of them.
That's fantastic. Do you have any close, like, that live somewhat close to you that you can visit with?
Yeah, for sure. So there's guys that are still in the gunship community in the 16th near Cannon Air Force Base, and Cannon Air Force Base is actually like in Clovis, New Mexico.
Okay.
So, and I actually took a flight simulator job there on Cannon, where basically you get to set up the emergency procedures, the threats, the scenarios, if you will, and I get to see some of it. Still, it's rare, but some of the same men and women I used to fly with. So it's awesome to catch up with them when that happens, you know.
Oh, I can imagine. I can't imagine playing with a flight simulator. I feel like that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I tell people I get to play a multi-million-dollar video game every day. It's all virtual reality and it moves, so it's awesome, man.
I can only imagine. Sounds like a really cool job.
Yeah.
So, if you could change one thing about how we support our veterans and their mental health, what would it be? Because I know the VA clinics, not all of them are bad, but I know there's a couple here in Missouri that aren't the greatest. How would you change that?
I would definitely say prioritize the mental health part of it, you know, and I look at it too as like getting a checkup, right? Like just like an oil change for your vehicle, right? Like even if you don't have those demons servicing, right? And what we were talking about earlier, when you see somebody of leadership or maybe even older, right, go, like, you see that it's okay, right? And that stigma goes away, you know. So definitely prioritize mental health and find a way to make it as a checkup type thing as well, you know.
Absolutely. So mental health, again, like he said, is like an oil change. Make sure you do a checkup on your mental health like you do an oil change on your vehicle. Very important. Our suicide rate is just unfortunately stupid high, and I can't imagine thinking about taking my own life. Again, if you guys ever need anything, you can reach out to us on Facebook. You can find our phone number. You can check our website. There are plenty of resources you can call and contact. We have plenty of resources here on Voices of Valor and Midwest Mayhem podcast. Please reach out. You mean something to us. You mean something to your loved ones. Even on your downest day where you don't feel like you have anybody, please reach out. Anthony here is our 14th guest here on Voices of Valor. Cannot thank him enough for joining us. He is volunteered to be a resource as well. So I'll be getting his contact information in case we ever need anything down in that area of the United States, because we are now going across state lines here. And I cannot thank him enough for joining us today. But we're going to kind of get into some words of wisdom from Anthony here, who has done so much in his career, from writing a book to 2 decades in the military service and flying 1.5% to 2% of missions that most people don't even get to see. So Anthony, what advice would you give to young men and women thinking about joining the military?
I would definitely say, like, think about a job before you put in for it, you know, and definitely when you get that job, like, no matter what it is, one of my favorite stories was actually I heard during my first deployment, but one of the older chief of staff of the Air Force, basically he goes to the chow hall, right, and there's 2 airmen there, right, and he asked the first one, the way the story goes, "Hey, what do you do for the Air Force?" He goes, "Oh, I just make salads." And he asked the second one, the second airman, he's like, "What do you do for the Air Force?" He goes, "I make the best salad this damn Air Force has to offer." You know, so it's all mentality. It's all positive thinking, and to be honest with you, like, a positive attitude's gotten me out of a lot of downfalls in the Air Force.
I'm sure that not only do you guys face so many dangerous missions, so much mental health stigma, just the training you guys go through to be in the military is a crucial part of being in the military, but it's also very hard. Some of the mental things they put you through to train you. I can only imagine. I've seen it in TV shows and movies, but I can only imagine how hard that training truly is.
Oh yeah, and I would say, man, probably the hardest thing I ever had to do was, well, so you do the SEER school, the survival school, which is the best training I've ever had, but I don't ever want to do it again. And then you do the water survival, and there was a point where I failed, man. It was a dunk. It's called the dunker, and they put you in this basically this helicopter fuselage, and they take it down underwater and they roll it and roll it and roll it, and they basically give you a HEATS bottle, it's like a mini SCBA, if you will.
Oh
like
yeah,
you may have 5 minutes, like an escape bottle, and they blindfold you, give you blacked out goggles, and you have to escape and egress. And I went to the 4th iteration and I failed it, man. And but I never gave up, and I at least I thought I had a good attitude, and I think that's why the steer instructor gave me a second chance, and I was so grateful for that. And by the time that guy was done with me, after about a week of working with me, like one-on-one, like, he had me believing I could do things I never thought I could do, and it was, you sort of see that lesson in a way they indirectly teach you.
absolutely. I can only imagine having 5 minutes and being in a simulator like that. I would probably definitely freak out. But kudos to you for getting that second chance and for pushing through that and having the courage to keep on keeping on after you failed the first time. A lot of people let that get to them, and they really struggle with that. But I'm really glad you got a second chance at it, and that made you the guy you are today, and led you up to the story you have to tell and that you've shared with us so far. What do you wish civilians understood more about the mental health toll of the service?
I would definitely say that it's there, and don't be afraid to ask about the elephant in the room. If you notice something, like extend a hand, and just check on somebody. Even if you grew up with that person, you hadn't seen them in 20 years, give them a call, man. Send them a Facebook message, whatever the case is, and just let them know you're still present. Because the biggest thing you could give someone that served or in these type of jobs is your time.
Absolutely. And that is, if we can just save one life, that's Midwest Mayhem's mission, Voices of Valor's mission. You don't have to be in the service. If you're struggling, you're not in any kind of service, you're still welcome to reach out to us. We want to save everybody, not just our friends in the first responder and veteran military world. So Anthony, I want to hear this from you, because I feel like this word will mean a lot to you, and I'm sure you have a great definition for it. Here on Voices of Valor, after combat, recovery, and writing your story, we like to ask people what the word valor means to them, because obviously this is our Voices of Valor series. So after everything that you've been through, from writing a book to recovering from addiction to alcohol and things of that sort, and all the combat you've been in and training, what does the word valor mean to you personally?
The word valor means someone who would give up absolutely everything, including their life, for their brother or sister. Like those guys are heroes. Those guys that died on that foreign sand and their blood was shed. Like, to me, they're heroes, not me. Like the John 15:13 verse says, like, greater love hath no man than this, than a man laid down his life for his friends. Right? When you witness that level of sacrifice, like, then you understand what valor is, and God bless those men and women. Those are our very best.
Absolutely. And again, I cannot thank you enough for sharing that with us, and for sharing all the stories you've shared with us today, and kind of getting into what MoonChild is about. Again, for those of you listening to the podcast right now, if you haven't done it this far into the episode, as soon as you're done with this, click over there on Amazon. MoonChild, please order it. Check out this guy's book. It is just absolutely amazing. I'm so glad his publisher reached out for us to be able to connect with Anthony today. I do want to get into a little bit of fun closer to the end of our episode here. If you've listened to our episodes before, we do the rapid fire round, where we ask you a series of about 10 or 11 questions, and you just kind of answer them with the first word that pops in your mind, and we'll have a little bit of fun with that. How's that sound?
That sounds good, brother. Looking forward to it.
Perfect. So for our rapid fire round today, we're going to kick it off on number one: coffee or energy drink?
I'm definitely an energy drink guy. I actually got a picture of me shotgunning a Monster right before a flight between the 40 mil and the 105. So definitely a Monster type of guy.
Yeah, you'll definitely have to. You might have to email that over to me, and we'll. I'll share it on all of our socials so our fans can hear it for this rapid fire round here.
I'll send it, brother.
Perfect. So your favorite comfort food?
Definitely a milk and cookies type of guy, you know.
I felt
midnight
that, man.
Snacks and all that.
Felt that. Music you listen to when driving or relaxing?
You know, I'm a big Rolling Stones fan, man. I like Wild Horses and songs like that, you know.
That's a pretty good one. You can't go wrong with the Stones. So you've lived in, you currently live in New Mexico. You were from North Carolina. Mountains or beach?
You know what's ironic about this question, man? Growing up in the mountains in like North Carolina, right? I remember for like my family, right? It was a big deal to go to Myrtle Beach, which is in South Carolina, every summer. And when you do that, you realize the beach people come to the mountains, and the mountain people go to the beach in the summer. I don't know why that is, but in the end, I'm born and raised Appalachian, man. I'm a mountain guy, you know.
Perfect. I would love to go see the Appalachians someday and see what they're all about, and hopefully do some traveling here in my near future, and hopefully take the podcast with me. But we visited. This past summer I went to Gulf Shores, Alabama for the first time, and that was a pretty neat experience. So that's a pretty neat place if you haven't been there. Favorite place you traveled during your service?
Man, that's a really good question. So there was a time I went. It was just temporary. It was I wasn't a gunner or aviator yet, but I went to Okinawa, Japan for like 6 weeks one time for like training, and it was absolutely the most beautiful. I mean, crystal blue water. I think they call it the Hawaii of Japan, man. So awesome place.
Okinawa, Japan. That's definitely a mouthful, and I'll have to look some pictures up to kind of see what that looks like. Are you a dog or a cat person?
So I love this question, man, because I feel like I have both. Okay, so like I feel like if I was drowning, you know, a dog would go get help, where my cats would watch me die. You know, like they would plot my death probably as we're speaking. So yeah, I'm definitely a dog person.
Well, me too, man. I got 2 dogs at home. Favorite way to unwind today?
Man, just spend time with my family and you know, just chill on this Sunday, man. Maybe get an old man nap after some good food, you know.
I felt that, man. I'm probably going to go home and take a nap after this podcast, so I feel your pain there. One hobby you enjoy now that you're out of the military?
I definitely like fishing when I can. You know, it's getting few and far between. I need to go more, but definitely fishing, you know.
Fishing's always a good one. Helps clear the mind.
Oh, yeah.
Hidden talent most people do not know about you?
I'd say that I'm a mediocre basketball player. You know, I was decent in high school, but I actually learned one of the most important lessons I ever learned at a basketball camp in high school.
Really?
And yeah. There was this guy, man, and I actually recently found out he passed away. So God bless his family. But he was a coach at Lenore Ryan College, I remember, and at Smoky Mountain High School in the mountains there. Every year he would come teach a basketball camp and a shooting clinic, if you will. And this guy, he was older at the time too. He would get up there and he would shoot like 100 free throws, man. Like I've never seen anything like it. And he would not miss. Like I swear to God, maybe one out of like 100, right? And the point he was making was that the key to success in life or in anything is repetition, you know. And I like to tell people with those 2 words, like perseverance and repetition, man, you can go anywhere in the world, brother.
Absolutely, man. Those are great words of wisdom to live by for sure. Are you a morning person or a night owl? I feel like this is kind of a tricky one because I'm sure you've done both for quite a few years.
Yeah, we used to always fly at night, you know, but like now that I'm out, right, and I got more of a, I guess, structured type schedule, as ironic as that is, I like getting up in the morning and getting at it, man.
Good deal. That's fantastic. I'm glad I was able to email you this morning and hear back from you after our little scheduling difficulty. One word that sums up the military brotherhood to you, and you can use multiple if you would like.
One word. Man, I would say, I would definitely say it's eternal. You know, was it Marcus Aurelius once said that what we do in life echoes in eternity, you know, and those friends, those 4 quarters, those wingmen, those brothers and sisters you worked with in the military, they're going to stay with you till you die, man, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't have put that in words myself any better, and I'm sure anybody that listens to this episode will really appreciate all the words that you've shared with us here today. That was our rapid fire round, folks, for those of you who enjoy us doing that. And I do have one other question for you, Anthony, and I would love to see Midwest Mayhem travel across the United States and talk to many different people. I like to leave a challenge for everybody at the end of our episodes here. If you could challenge one person to come join us here on Voices of Valor, who would that be?
Man, this is a really good question. Let me think about this. Does it matter if I live near him or not, or just anybody in the whole world?
Anybody in the whole world.
I would definitely say one of my friends, Mary Howe. I was a gunner. We were gunners together, and she's the granddaughter of Colonel Beckwith, and then the daughter of Paul Howe. Man, it's a awesome military lineage and her side of the story. But yeah, man, I'd like to see her on there. It'd be great.
Perfect. If you could reach out to her and tell her that you mentioned her in this episode and share our website with her for her to sign up, we'd be more than happy to talk with her as well. I'm sure she could probably share some stories about you, and I'd love to speak with her. But I'd like to keep the Voices of Valor rolling, and this helps us get more guests here on Voices of Valor. So I appreciate you sharing that out, and I hope you can reach out to your friend and maybe get her to sign up, and maybe we'll get to talk to her as well. But
Most definitely will. I'll see you in the email, man.
Absolutely. So Anthony, man, we're getting towards the end of the episode here, and I cannot thank you enough for everything that you've shared with us, from your struggle to addiction to your career to in the 2 decades of military service that you provided, the missions that you have been on. Again, I like to leave a little bit of suspense for our listeners here who have not read MoonChild. Again, for those of you listening right now, if you have not bought the book MoonChild, you make sure you go out there and buy it. We will be posting links on our Amazon or on our Facebook for Amazon, if I can get that right today. We'll post that on our Facebook page, on our TikTok, Twitter, anything you can think of. We'll be posting it there for you guys to go buy it. Not too expensive. It's a great book. You can get a paperback or Kindle copy, and I promise you, you will not regret the purchase. This guy has got a great story. He did not share all of it here on Voices of Valor with us today, but we did get a good solid core on what his mission is. And Anthony, thank you again. Thank you to your publisher, and I'm so glad you guys were able to reach out and get on the podcast here with me. I appreciate you supporting Voices of Valor and Midwest Mayhem, and challenging one of your close friends to come join us here. But thank you for your service. Thank you for everything you've done. I truly hope to see maybe another book from you someday, and hear more about some of the things that you've done in your lifetime, and potentially have you here on Midwest Mayhem podcast with us again sometime.
Yeah, Tyler. Like I said, I love your platform, man, and I appreciate the stories and all you do for the veteran and first responder community, man. And I think you're a blessing, man. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate it, man. And that's other than that, we'll go out with a closing message, a few messages here. If you would like to share your story, if you're listening to Voices of Valor right now and you are a first responder or veteran and would love to come share your story, come go to our website at www.midwestmayhempodcast.com. Click on the Voices of Valor tab and click the link at the bottom. It'll take you to our sign-up form. Once you've signed up, I will reach out to you and get you on our schedule. We are booked out to, I believe, May now, and we will get your story lined up, and you'll be one of our guests here on the Voices of Valor series. Cannot thank all of our guests so far. We are Anthony's guest number 14, so we've talked to 14 amazing people, and we got some more people rolling in here soon. Next week, we'll have Nathan from Frontline Armory joining us here on Voices of Valor. He is guest number 15. He will be here on camera with me instead of behind it this time to tell his story in the Navy, and to share his experiences in the military himself. Again, his store is one of our sponsors, Frontline Armory. Cannot thank these guys enough for what they do. They're truly amazing people, and come check them out. They're kind of a newer business, and we would love to see them get all the support from our Mayhem militia that we have following us. But and we cannot thank Checkpoint Coffee and Canteen enough for all their support. Adam and Christy over there, great people, huge supporters of our podcast as well, and first responders and military. Adam was in the military himself. He was guest number 6 on the Voices of Valor series, so go check out his episode as well. But join us back here next week again for Nathan Johnson's episode from Frontline Armory. We're going to be talking to him. And don't forget about our upcoming free mental health seminar you heard about earlier, March 28th, 11 to 3 p.m. Midwest Mayhem will be live on location. We'll be doing a live broadcast on Facebook. You can talk. You'll see me and Lockie kind of going back and forth about what's going on at the event. I believe we're going to talk to Taylor Miner, the one of the organizers of the event from Leadwood Fire Protection District. And we're going to talk to her. We're going to talk to Nathan. We're going to talk to Adam. We're going to talk to everybody. So make sure you tune in and watch us live there on location. All kinds of free stuff. I think we're up to almost 200 giveaway items from Frontline Armory, from local businesses. Midwest Mayhem threw in a couple baskets. So make sure you come over, check it out. There's going to be 10 or 15, I think, raffle items up for grabs for you to buy tickets. Make sure you bring cash. It is a cash-only ticket purchase, so make sure you come check it out. Midwest Mayhem will have some goodie bags as well, food trucks, 2 keynote speakers. It's just going to be a fantastic day, and I truly, truly cannot thank all these people enough for everything they've donated and helped out with. This is going to be a fantastic event. Again, that is Saturday, March 28th, just 2 weeks away here, and I'm going to get the information over to Anthony so he can watch it live, and all of you should too if you can't make it out to watch us. So come over, check it out. It's a day for all of you first responders to come over and enjoy each other's company and to handle your mental health. So come check it out. Cannot thank these guys enough. Don't forget you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can watch our YouTube videos now. We're recording in studio here at Frontline Armory. And you can listen to us on iHeartRadio or directly on our website at www.midwestmayhempodcast.com. We got plenty of stories for first responders, veterans, things like that coming up here on the podcast. Like I said, we might have a little bit of a new series coming out. I'm still working on that with a couple of good buddies of mine from the fire service. So make sure you listen to that as well when that drops, and I'll be sure to share all that with you. And I'm so excited. It's going to be a great roundtable conversation, I do believe. Don't forget, Midwest Mayhem has merchandise. You can get shirts, hoodies, tumblers, stickers, you name it, all on our website. Click the merch tab, and all proceeds that you guys buy from our website goes right back here into the podcast, helps us keep rolling, helps us keep sharing first responder and veteran stories like Anthony's here today. And we cannot thank you guys enough for all the support. We've had so many orders in the last couple of weeks. The outpouring support is absolutely fantastic. If you'd like to become a sponsor and you're a business and you're not sponsoring us yet and you'd like to get into it, you can go to our advertising tab on our website, check it out, and all the information you need is there. We'd love to have a couple more businesses sponsoring the podcast and helping us out here. But again, today on Voices of Valor, guest number 14, episode 7, with Anthony Dyer, the author of the book MoonChild. Anthony, again, thank you so much for joining us here, and thank you for everything you've done, man.
Thank you, Tyler. It was a real pleasure and honor to be here, man. I mean that. I
truly appreciate that, and I hope to talk to you again here soon. But until then, Mayhem Militia, we will talk to you guys here soon, and we'll talk to you again next week. And I'm your host, Tyler. Lockie's not here with me today. She'll be back here soon. But until then, this is Midwest Mayhem, the Voices of Valor series, and I appreciate you guys so much, and thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you soon.